There's a video that's been shared millions of times. A toddler, barely able to walk, waddles up to a massive German Shepherd. The dog had growled at two adults earlier that same day, bared its teeth, made its feelings clear. But when this child approached, the dog lowered its head, tail wagging, and stood completely still while the child grabbed its ears and laughed directly into its face. No warning, no tension, pure trust. And here's what's strange. This isn't a one-off moment. It happens with dogs, deer, horses, wild birds. Animals that flee from grown adults will sometimes freeze completely calm in the presence of a small child. For a long time, people assumed it was just about size. Children are small. They're harmless. Animals know that. But science found something far deeper, something that says less about animals and more about what we've quietly lost as we grew up. Animals don't read faces the way we do. They don't weigh intentions, analyze context, or give second chances. What they do instead is read a constant stream of physical signals. Posture, movement speed, eye contact, muscle tension, breathing rhythm, and scent. This silent language evolved millions of years before words existed. And every living creature on Earth is broadcasting in it, right now, whether they realize it or not. Children send a very specific signal in that language. They move unpredictably, stumbling, stopping, changing direction for no reason. They make eye contact but quickly look away, distracted by something else. Their voices are high-pitched, which across dozens of species signals youth and non-threat. Their muscles are loose, their movements are chaotic and uncoordinated, and most importantly, they carry zero hidden agenda. There's no calculation behind a child approaching an animal, no strategy, just pure curiosity and the complete absence of intent. Adult humans tell a completely different story. We approach with purpose. We walk in straight lines. We hold eye contact longer than is natural, something the animal world almost universally reads as a dominance or predator signal. We extend our hands in a reaching motion that, to a nervous system built on survival, can look more like a grab than a greeting. Even when our intentions are completely friendly, the physical vocabulary we've spent decades building, shaped by offices, social situations, and human politics, translates into animal language as a warning. Researchers at Yale University studied how children and adults value animals. The findings were striking. Children under 9 consistently treated animals as moral equals, beings with feelings that mattered, completely independent of their usefulness to humans. They didn't think of animals as tools or food. They thought of them the way they thought of other kids. Adults had almost entirely lost this. The research concluded that the belief that humans are far more important than animals appears late in development, and is almost certainly taught, not natural. We aren't born thinking animals are beneath us. We learn it, and somewhere in that learning, something quietly closes. Animals appear to detect this shift. Studies on dogs show they're extraordinarily sensitive to human cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Adults carry far more baseline cortisol than children. Work pressure, social anxiety, financial stress, all of it elevates our cortisol chronically, often without us even knowing. And animals, especially those with highly developed senses of smell, read this chemical signal directly. A relaxed child approaching a tense dog smells completely different from a smiling adult trying to do the same thing. The smile means nothing. The cortisol tells the truth. Beyond scent, animals also read micro-expressions, tiny involuntary flickers of muscle movement in the human face that reveal emotion before the brain can control it. Children's faces are completely unguarded. They haven't learned to mask nervousness or perform calmness they don't actually feel. What you see on a child's face is exactly what's happening inside them. And animals, which have spent millions of years reading the faces of both predators and companions, respond to that transparency with a dropping of their own guard. Here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. Every prey animal carries an ancient threat detection system refined over millions of years. And this system doesn't just detect size or proximity, it detects behavioral intent through a very specific set of physical cues. Predators, across almost all species, share a consistent set of behaviors before they strike. They lock their gaze on the target and hold it. They move in straight, deliberate lines. They go quiet. They slow their breathing. Their muscles coil with controlled, ready energy. Every unnecessary movement stops. This behavioral signature is ancient. It predates mammals. And prey animals have evolved to detect even a fragment of it as a reason to run. Now think about what happens when a well-meaning adult tries to approach a wild animal. They go quiet so as not to startle it. They stare carefully, tracking its every movement. They approach slowly in a straight line. They hold their breath. Their muscles tighten with anticipation. In almost every measurable behavioral category, a gentle, friendly adult approaching a wild animal is displaying the predator signature. Children do the complete opposite. Not strategically, just because they haven't learned to suppress themselves yet. They call out randomly. They point at something nearby. They look away mid-approach to watch a butterfly. They trip. They laugh. They change direction for no reason. To a prey animal's hardwired system, this scattered, unfocused, chaotic behavior is the biological opposite of a predator signal. It's broadcasting on every frequency at once. I am not hunting you. I don't even know what hunting is. In 1984, biologist Edward O. Wilson proposed something called the Biophilia Hypothesis. The idea that humans have an innate, genetically encoded connection to other living things. That our pull toward nature, toward animals, toward the living world isn't cultural, it's biological. It's part of what we are. Children appear to exist in a state of unfiltered biophilia. They haven't yet built the cognitive and social layers that, in adults, sit between raw biological experience and conscious behavior. When a child sees an animal, the response is immediate, unmediated, completely genuine. There's no wondering if it's appropriate to be excited. No self-consciousness about wanting to connect. No calculation about what it means. Research has confirmed that children as young as 1 to 3 years old show significantly more interest in a living animal than in a comparable, equally stimulating toy. This preference appears before language, before cultural conditioning, before the child even has a framework for understanding what an animal is. It is, in the truest sense, a biological pull, and animals appear to recognize it, because they experience their own version of it. The relaxation they show around children may be a recognition of genuine biological kinship, not intellectual recognition, something older. The recognition of a creature that still lives in the same ancient relationship with the living world that they do. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. The qualities that make children trusted by animals, openness, honesty, absence of agenda, unfiltered curiosity, zero performance, are not qualities that the adult world rewards. We are taught, gradually and thoroughly, to mask emotions in professional settings, to approach situations with strategic intent, to suppress our reactions and present a managed, controlled version of ourselves, to think of animals and nature in terms of what they provide, rather than simply what they are, to move with purpose and efficiency rather than wandering wonder. Every one of these lessons makes sense within modern human life. Together, they quietly produce a version of us that the animal world, operating on signals unchanged for millions of years, reads as fundamentally untrustworthy. And it isn't just animals that notice. Psychologists have found that the same qualities making children appealing to animals, authenticity, emotional transparency, lack of performance, also make them more naturally connective with other humans. Children make friends faster. They recover from conflict more easily. They express affection without the calculations that so often complicate what adults feel for each other. What animals are detecting in children isn't just innocence in the soft, sentimental sense. It's the presence of something real, something that hasn't yet been buried under decades of learned behavior, protective masks, and social performance. So the next time you see a child walk up to a wild animal, and the animal just stands there, calm and unafraid, you're not watching a cute moment. You're watching two beings communicate in a language that predates every civilization, every written word, every philosophical system humans ever built. A language of pure biological signal, ancient and precise. The animal isn't trusting the child because they're small. It isn't trusting them because they're harmless. It's trusting them because in every signal that matters, the child is doing something the modern adult world makes almost impossible to do cleanly, being exactly what they appear to be. And in a world built on threat and survival and deception, that unguarded, unperformed honesty is the rarest signal of all. Maybe the question we should really be asking isn't why animals trust children. Maybe it's, what happened to the rest of us?